The audience fell silent the moment Keisha stepped onto the stage. Her black satin dress hugged her 7-month pregnant belly, and the lights made her dark skin glow like polished bronze. Across the marble hall, the bride, Ashley, whispered to her bridesmaids with a smirk. "Can you believe she actually came?" Keisha adjusted the microphone, pretending not to hear. The air was heavy with perfume, money, and judgment. Guests stared as if she didn't belong there. A black singer in a room full of privilege, standing only a few feet from the man who'd once sworn he'd love her forever. At the altar, Ryan, the groom and father of her unborn child, refused to meet her eyes. His hand rested nervously on Ashley's waist. The wedding planner gave Keisha a nod. "You're on in 60 seconds. Ashley glided toward her, diamond tiara gleaming under the chandeliers. "Remember," she whispered, voice sharp as glass, "you're here to sing, not to steal the spotlight. Don't make this about you." Keisha's jaw tightened, but her voice stayed calm. "I never make lies about me," she said softly. The bride blinked, not understanding, but the look in Keisha's eyes, calm, steady, almost dangerous, made her hesitate for the first time all night. When the band began to play, whispers rippled through the crowd. "That's his ex-wife. Isn't she pregnant?" Ashley smiled wider, feeding on every cruel glance, every racist murmur floating through the hall. Keisha took a deep breath. This wasn't just a performance. It was the beginning of something she had planned for months. She looked toward the camera crew filming for the luxury wedding magazine and whispered under her breath, "Let's make history tonight." Then she lifted the microphone and began the song. Her voice filled the hall. Deep, haunting, too powerful for anyone to ignore. The melody trembled with pain, dignity, and something else to promise. Ashley's smile faltered. Ryan's hands began to shake. And for the first time since losing everything, Keisha felt in control. If this already made your blood boil, hit like and subscribe right now, because stories like this are still happening, and the world needs to hear them. 2 weeks earlier, Keisha had been sitting alone in her small apartment, the sound of rain dripping through a cracked window. Her hands rested on her belly as she hummed softly, the only comfort left after her world collapsed. Ryan had left her with nothing but a text message. "I can't do this anymore. Ashley offers a life you never could." 6 years of marriage ended in 16 words. The next day, she saw the wedding announcement online. Ryan Carter to marry Ashley Brooks, daughter of a wealthy hotel magnate, the same hotel where Keisha had once performed as a background singer. Her sister, Danielle, stormed in with her laptop. "You're not going to believe this. That wedding gig you got offered for next month. Guess who the bride is?" Keisha stared at the screen, her heart sinking. Ashley's photo glared back. The same blonde woman who used to call her sweetheart at parties, pretending to be friendly while slowly stealing her husband behind her back. Danielle slammed the laptop shut. "You're not going, right?" Keisha exhaled slowly. "Oh, I'm going." Her tone was calm, but her eyes burned. "They want a show. I'll give them one." That night, she went through the box of old letters Ryan had written when they were broke, but in love. The words once meant safety. Now they felt like evidence. She tore each one neatly, letting the pieces fall into a folder labeled truth. Danielle looked worried. "Coolish, what are you planning?" Keisha smiled faintly. "Nothing illegal, just honest." She began to call a friend from her old church choir, a sound engineer named Darnell, and quietly arranged to record every rehearsal, every conversation. The humiliation they had planned for her would become the tool of their own downfall. In the days leading to the ceremony, Keisha trained her voice harder than ever. She wasn't just rehearsing songs, she was rehearsing power. When the wedding planner handed her the list of approved tracks, she replaced one. The title read, "The Truth They Hide." By the morning of the wedding, she looked in the mirror, touched her belly, and whispered, "We're not victims anymore, baby. We're witnesses." The reflection staring back wasn't a broken woman. It was a storm waiting for the right stage. The morning sun spilled across the city skyline as Keisha stepped out of her apartment, wearing a long black coat and calm determination. Every step she took echoed a purpose only she knew. Her sister Danielle met her at a small diner across from the courthouse. Between them sat a worn brown envelope sealed tight. "You sure you want to go through with this?" Danielle asked. Keisha nodded. "I'm done letting them write my story." Inside the envelope were copies of bank transfers, emails, and text messages Ryan had accidentally left linked to their old shared account. With the help of Darnell's cousin, a data analyst, Keisha had traced money moving from Ashley's father's company to offshore accounts under Ryan's name. It wasn't just betrayal anymore. It was crime. Danielle lowered her voice. "You really think anyone will believe us?" "They won't have to," Keisha said. "They'll see it." She pulled out her phone and showed a small app glowing red. "Voice recorder," Danielle murmured. "Every word she says to me before the ceremony will be saved," Keisha confirmed. "The way she talks, the way she humiliates, all of it." The plan was simple but brutal. Let Ashley and Ryan bury themselves with their own arrogance. Keisha would just give them the microphone. That evening, she met Darnell backstage at the Grand Horizon Hotel, where rehearsals were being held. "You really want me to wire this to speakers?" he asked, half smiling. "Only during the real performance," Keisha replied. "When the truth starts playing, I want every person in that hall to hear it loud and clear." Darnell hesitated, then laughed softly. "Girl, you about to make history?" Keisha smiled. "No, I'm about to make balance." Hours later back home, she sat on her couch, surrounded by sheet music and baby clothes. Her hand rested on her belly. "Mommy's gonna sing one last time," she whispered. "But not for them, for us." She imagined the look on Ashley's face when the lyrics would turn from love to confession. The smug groom frozen mid-smile. The guest gasping as lies unraveled in rhythm. Keisha didn't want violence. She wanted truth, raw, public, undeniable. The kind of truth that destroys empires built on cruelty. If this happened right in front of you, what would you do? Tell me in the comments. I read every one. And if you want justice as much as I do, hit subscribe. The ballroom glittered like a movie set. Gold chandeliers, white roses, and 100 guests dressed in pride. Cameras from Elite Weddings magazine hovered near the front, waiting to capture the moment. Ashley floated down the grand staircase in her diamond gown, pretending to be a princess. Every step screamed money and entitlement. But her eyes, they were hunting for Keisha. Behind the stage, Keisha waited, one hand on her belly, one on the mic. Her nerves were gone. All that was left was focus. Ryan paced near the altar, his tie crooked, sweat forming at his temples. For a man about to marry into wealth, he looked terrified. The band began to tune. A hush spread to the crowd. Ashley finally spotted Keisha near the back and couldn't resist walking over. "Well," she whispered, "I hope you took my advice. Keep your eyes down and your voice soft. You're just background music here." Keisha smiled politely. "Oh, don't worry," she said. "I plan to blend in right until the right note hits." Ashley frowned. "What's that supposed to mean?" Keisha tilted her head. "You'll hear it." The photographer called out, "Bride and groom, please move to the center." Ryan grabbed Ashley's hand, but his eyes darted toward Keisha. She held his gaze for a moment, calm and unflinching, the same way she used to look at him when he lied. The officiant began the vows, his voice echoing through the hall. Each word sounded expensive but empty. When the time came for the special musical performance, Ashley forced a dazzling smile. "Ladies and gentlemen," she announced, "a song to celebrate new beginnings, performed by someone who knows how to let go of the past." Laughter rolled through the hall. Keisha stepped onto stage, ignoring the sting of the words. She placed her phone on the piano, recording still blinking red, and nodded to Darnell in the back. The lights dimmed. The spotlight hit her face, and just before the first note, she whispered into the microphone, so soft only Ryan and Ashley could hear. "This one's for the truth you try to bury." The first chords rang to the hall, slow, mournful, beautiful. Keisha's voice rose, clear as crystal, slicing to the fake perfection of the wedding. 6 years of love, traded for a ring of lies. Guests smiled awkwardly, assuming it was poetic, but Ryan's face turned pale. Ashley's hand trembled on her bouquet. He said I wasn't enough, that his world needed someone whiter, richer, cleaner. A hush swept over the hall. The lyrics weren't part of any known love song. Keisha's tone grew stronger, every word measured, deliberate. He forged the papers that broke my home and signed away his soul for gold. But the truth don't stay buried long, not when the woman you broke still has her voice. Gasps erupted. People looked around, whispering. Cameras started flashing. Ashley's perfect smile cracked like glass. "Stop the music," she hissed the band. But Darnell had already switched the audio feed. Keisha's pre-recorded clip began to play, Ashley's own voice, mocking her before the ceremony. "You're here to serve, not to steal attention. You understand?" The hall froze. Ryan's mother covered her mouth in shock. The guests could hear every hateful word, echoing through the speakers. Keisha didn't move. Her eyes locked on Ashley's. "You wanted me to sing?" she said softly into the mic. "I'm just following your request." Ryan rushed forward. "Keisha, stop this." But before he could reach her, another voice boomed through the speakers, his own, recorded weeks earlier during a phone call. "If the FBI ever sees those reports, we're finished." Ashley's dad moved everything offshore. The crowd gasped louder. The officiant stepped back. Reporters lifted their cameras like vultures sensing blood. Keisha turned toward the audience, calm as if she'd been waiting for this all her life. "You thought this was a wedding song. It's actually a confession." Two men in dark suits appeared near the entrance. Their badges glinted under the chandeliers. FBI. Ashley screamed, "This is fake. She's lying." But one of the agents spoke firmly. "Ma'am, we've been investigating your father's company for 6 months. Thanks to this evidence, we have everything we need." Ryan's knees buckled. Ashley's bouquet fell to the floor. And as the guests filmed, Keisha lowered the microphone and whispered, "Sometimes the truth sings louder than any choir." Screams filled the ballroom as agents stormed the stage. Cameras flashed like lightning while guests whispered and backed away. The orchestra had fallen silent. Only Keisha's calm breathing remained steady in the noise. Two agents approached the groom. "Ryan Carter, you're under arrest for document forgery and financial fraud. Please step forward." Ryan's hand shot up defensively. "You don't understand. I was forced into this." But the words died as one of the agents pulled out handcuffs. Ashley spun toward her father, who stood frozen near the front row. "Daddy, do something." But Harold Brooks, the man behind the stolen millions, could barely speak. His face was white as marble as another agent whispered his rights. The crowd recorded every second. Phones were out, streaming live across social media. In real time, the empire that had humiliated a black woman for sport was collapsing under its own greed. Keisha stepped back, holding the mic loosely at her side. She didn't gloat, didn't smile, she just watched. Ryan looked at her as the agents led him past. "Courage, please. Don't let them take me like this." She met his eyes one last time. "You took everything from me, Ryan, except my voice. That's what saved me." Ashley dropped to her knees, makeup streaked with tears. "You planned this," she sobbed. "No," Keisha said quietly. "You did, when you chose cruelty over kindness." The FBI escorted them both out as reporters flooded the hall. Flashbulbs reflected off the broken champagne glasses and scattered petals. A battlefield made of privilege and truth. Danielle hurried in through the side door, phone in hand. "It's all over the internet," she whispered. "Your video's viral. Millions of views already." Keisha exhaled, steady but trembling. Then maybe it finally matters. Outside, the night was cool and silent. Sirens echoed in the distance as the last limousine pulled away carrying the fallen bride and groom. Keisha stood on the hotel steps, watching the chaos fade into the city lights. For the first time in years, she didn't feel small. Justice hadn't come from rage. It had come from truth. She placed her hand on her belly and whispered, "We did it, baby. We finally got our peace." The lights of the hotel flickered behind her, fading like the last note of a song that would never be forgotten. 3 months later, Sunlight poured through the window of Keisha's new apartment. Small but warm, filled with baby laughter and quiet peace. Her daughter, Naomi, slept beside her in a crib lined with soft pink blankets. On the TV, a news anchor spoke with polished excitement. Former finance executive Ryan Carter sentenced to 8 years in federal prison. Harold Brooks facing 12 for money laundering. The viral wedding confession song video has surpassed 100 million views. Keisha smiled faintly, stirring her tea. She wasn't chasing fame. She was embracing freedom. The world finally saw her not as a victim, but as a voice. Danielle entered, carrying groceries and a bouquet of yellow roses. "They're calling you the voice of justice, sis. You see that?" Keisha laughed softly. "They can call me whatever they want. I just want to raise my daughter right." Danielle set the flowers down. "Well, you did more than sing. You made people listen." Keisha glanced at her phone. One unread message. The sender's name made her pause. Ashley Brooks. Her heart didn't race this time. She opened the message. "Keisha, I know I don't deserve to ask this, but I want to thank you. I lost everything, but I found myself. I work now as a teacher at a community center for girls who've been bullied and forgotten. You taught me that real worth doesn't come from power. It comes from truth. I'm sorry." Keisha read it twice, then smiled softly. Forgiveness didn't mean forgetting. It meant being free enough to move on. She typed back only one line. "I wish you peace." We both learned what power really means. Danielle leaned against the counter. "You're too kind, you know that?" Keisha shrugged. "Kindness doesn't make me weak. It keeps me from becoming them." She turned toward the window, the city skyline glowing gold in the afternoon light. A gentle breeze stirred the curtain as Naomi cooed in her sleep. Keisha whispered, "One day, baby, you'll hear about what Mommy did. And I hope you'll know it wasn't revenge. It was justice sung out loud." She walked to her piano, pressed a single key, and smiled as the note lingered, pure, calm, final. If you believe this should never happen again, share this now. And to my USA, UK, and Canadian viewers, your voice is power. Use it.